that today. I'll put a ranged weapon on my back bar to try out, because like just the other day I was doing or yesterday I was doing a dungeon with some people, and we had Anthony Talcott was tanking for us, and I'm usually a tank, so I was like, well, you can tank, Anthony, and I'll just be a terrible DPS. So he was tanking and I was doing a poor job at DPSing, but the only thing that I had on my bar was my greatsword, and there was a big telegraph around the boss, and I couldn't get in close enough to do damage for a bunch of the fight, because then I would be standing in the poop, and you're not supposed to stand in the poop. So I was complaining about that, and Brav was like, used some ranged, dummy. And I was like, I don't have any ranged. I haven't used any ranged skills yet. So yeah, I'll throw a ranged thing on the back bar while I'm leveling and test that out.
Because that would be a great way to level up other skill lines, if you just put other skills in the second slot and your weapons in the second bar, and see if you can gain in those as well.
Yeah. Hey guys, great. We're live, by the way. Hey guys, look, Lloyd, you got to look towards me, and somebody do the.
I'm not looking towards you. I'm looking the wrong way because I can't see the video.
Right. Somebody we got to see the. Oh no. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking that we could recreate our emotes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting a set for a some sort of video that they're going to make, or image that they're going to make for us.
Yeah, that face you made it's the exact same face that you made last, that one time, and he screenshotted it.
Oh, I gotta mix it up then. That's what I gotta do.
It was exactly the same. It's like this is what I would look like if I were a moron face, and you make that face.
Wait, I resemble that remark.
Oh man. Morning everybody. I hope you guys are having a great day. People were here and chatting before we even got started. We're late because I hit go live or start streaming, and then my the button or the YouTube page that I have to hit the button on to start streaming, it was like, you can't live stream right now. And so then I had to refresh it like 3 times before it came back to the way it's supposed to be.
Ugh.
YouTube, figure it out.
Fix that. Did you hear the latest rumor that was going around?
I don't know, man. Be more specific.
About someone that just recently got booted off of Twitch.
I heard that he was doing a Spotify thing as a rumor or whatever.
Yeah, apparently. So Dr. Disrespect, Ninja, and the other guy that got a big money bag from Mixer, Shroud. Apparently the rumor is that they were contacted by Spotify because Spotify wants to create a streaming service that is partially backed by Google. I
mean, cool, but why would Google do that when they have YouTube live streaming?
So maybe they're going to use a YouTube backend for VODs and storage of data, so Spotify doesn't have to get petabytes of disk just to put videos on. But Spotify is going to develop a really awesome front end to it. So maybe there's some sort of partnership there because of the sheer amount of servers and data that Google can hold. That's the only way that I think it would make sense, because Spotify and Google working together makes 0 sense, because they are in direct competition for everything that Spotify does. Yeah. They're in direct competition with something that Google does.
Right. And hey, so most of my non-real job income comes from Spotify. So I'm a fan, even though I don't subscribe to them. I'm a fan, but I can't understand what would Google get out of that relationship. A new interface for video game streaming, maybe. Maybe they already have a good interface for video game streaming They made it for YouTube gaming. Just bring that interface to YouTube. I don't understand that mentality. Like,
I agree.
why would they partner with somebody? That's like saying, here, why don't you take half of our money?
Exactly. Yeah, no, I fully I'm in your boat here. I don't think it's real, but I heard that and I'm like, that's interesting. That would be a weird way to mix up the market, kind of shake things loose a little bit.
It's super interesting. And I look, I think it would be good if that happened, if for no other reason than it would, like, people would look at this Spotify thing as different than YouTube. And so there's a lot of people who don't like YouTube for certain reasons, and and a lot of people would look at Spotify and they would say, well, we can try that out. It's not YouTube. And the more people who are competing, the more companies that are competing in the live streaming market, the better it is for you and me and everybody who watches stuff. Because I think that the demise of Mixer is bad for the industry as a whole.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Mixer was shaking things up and making people Twitch actually have to add new features and change and become better. And then they're gone, and it's like, okay, well, so much for that, because who cares about Facebook gaming?
Right.
Twitch isn't gonna compete with Facebook gaming, because how do you compete with Facebook? You just keep iterating in your own little part of the world, I guess, if you're Twitch then.
Yeah.
But Mixer was a direct, like, indie, even though they're not indie, but an indie competitor that is getting all the hype and getting a lot of the money
until they got bought.
Exactly. It just, I don't know, it's weird. I don't think this whole Spotify thing is true at all, but man, that would be really, really cool if it was. Even if YouTube wasn't involved, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Flakes in chat is saying Mixer UI was also slick. I agree. Mixer had a much better UI than YouTube does. I think that you could, 6 in one, half a dozen in the other for for Twitch versus Mixer as far as UI goes. I will say this: when I went to go see, when I went to watch a stream on Mixer, if it was one of those streamers that had like all of these little buttons that you could push, and like their screen was real small and it had a bunch of buttons that you could push, and you could close that, and then it would look better. But to have that on by default was weird, and I didn't like that. So I don't know. Right now, Twitch has the best UI for streaming, and that for me, that is the only thing that they have that is over YouTube. YouTube is better at every other part of streaming except for the UI. And I know you disagree with me because you don't like to you just want to hit the button and not have to make an event or whatever. I like the events because it gives people a chance to say, oh, I know that this is going to be live at this time. It also, I like that each one is like individual. I don't know. I like it all better on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that that YouTube is YouTube. That, like, there's so much data there. There's so much of the videos that I have produced that are living there. It's great to have I don't know, the streams go to YouTube. I do like the events, like when you're scheduling an event and people can show up early and things like that. I love that. It would be great if you could just stream live without creating a thing, and you can. There's a way to do it, but it's still not as slick as Twitch, where you just turn it on, hit a button, and you're live on the thing. There's still a delay. There's certain things that have always gotten in the way when I've been trying that. So yeah, I don't know. They have some work to do if they want to compete with Twitch, which is kind of funny since they're the de facto winner for online video streaming.
Yeah, I think that if YouTube just stole the UI from Twitch, they would run away with it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, before we get started, this is not what we came here to talk about, everybody. But needless to say, it's something that both Lloyd and I find very interesting, so we talk about that kind of stuff. If you want to hear more of our thoughts on that kind of stuff, on the streaming industry, feel free to let us know. All right. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to the following people: Sean Davies. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'll say Rakelemy, Phil Collins, and Kevin for becoming members. You guys
Phil
are
Collins.
all awesome. 4 new members already today, which is just fantastic. So thank you to them. And you guys rock. All right. Are you ready, Lloyd?
Yeah.
You seem unsure.
No, I'm not unsure.
He's not unsure. All right. I'm going to hit the record button. Let me shut off the music. We don't need to record the music. As good as the music is, we don't need it recorded. All right.
I was gonna make an Office Space joke with Phil Collins and but I couldn't remember which artist was in Office Space. That
Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton. And I was trying to figure it out, and I was quickly Googling it, and I'm like, it's past.
Why should I change my name? He's the one that sucks. I love that.
Exactly.
That movie is so good.
It's so good.
It is a fantastic, hilarious
And we got
movie.
Kevin Smith in the chat room too. So we got all these celebrities.
That's right.
Office Space versions of celebrities.
So we got Office Space Kevin Smith, Office Space Phil Collins. That's great. I love it.
Oh, so good.
All right, I'm going to hit record.
All right, let's do this.
Do I have the music? I do. I still don't have the sound effect. So listen, it would be really cool if somebody out there, do you guys remember a while back, Google emailed all of the founders this MP3 of the little Stadia sound, and I put that on the beginning of the show. Well, when I wiped out my hard drive, I lost that file, and I can't find the email anywhere. So if anybody still has that particular MP3 and you want to forward it to me, I am at I'm runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Okay. So send that on over my way. Yeah, they did that, Kodiak. All right, I'm going to hit record now.
Sure.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stadiacast. This is episode 64. I'm Bill, that's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Not much, man. I loved that intro card. If you're watching the video, our smiling cartoony mugs on that was fantastic.
Yeah, before we actually get into the show, I want to take a second and I want to thank David Rodriguez Jr., who sent us these wonderful, like 1930s inspired emotes. That we could put on the YouTube channel. So if you are a YouTube member, you now have access to being able to use these little 1930s style emotes of both Lloyd and myself, like old school Mickey Mouse style cartoons. There's both black and white versions and color versions, and they are amazing. And like they've got Lloyd wearing his ball cap and his headphones, and me wearing my pork pie hat. So I had to put this hat on for today because of that emote. But man, those things are really, really cool, aren't they?
So great. so great.
All right. Before we get started, we do record this show live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern over at youtube.com/Stadiacast. So if you're listening to the podcast version of the show and you want to check out, what everything looks like when we're live, then head on over to youtube.com/Stadiacast. If you want to directly support the show and you're here with us live, you can use the super chat feature to get your message highlighted. And in the second half of the show, we respond to all of your super chats. And of course, if you are here with us live or watching after the fact, if you click on the join button right down below. You can become a member of the channel. That gets you access to those emotes that we were just talking about, as well as sometimes we get videos early for members, and you get access to our supporters Patreon channel. Did I get everything, Lloyd?
I think so. You're killing it, man.
There we go. What have you been playing this week? Oh, he's
Excuse me.
coughing.
I'm playing the clear my throat game. I've been playing some ESO. Of course, I've been loving ESO. I hit level 27, and then I haven't been able to play the last few days because of we got a second cat. So I've been playing the chase around the animals game a lot over the last little bit. But yeah, ESO, loving it. I really need to spend some more time, do some more dungeons, do some more stuff with the guildies, because it's been a lot of fun. I know we'll probably talk more about ESO, but I've also been playing Wavebreak. I put up my first look for Wavebreak. Now that the servers are up, I've been trying to get a lot more multiplayer stuff in. I'm hot trash. I'm absolutely hot trash at that game, which is just so weird because I have the muscle memory from playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like if I could boot it up and I could do crazy tricks, and I'm just not able to do that here on Wavebreak. So I got to learn. I think what's happening is my old skills are competing with the new skills I'm trying to build. So that would be why I'm not playing so well, or at least that's my excuse for that. So that's pretty much it, man. It's been unfortunately a slow week for gaming for me. Hopeful that I can remedy some of that today.
Well, okay, I don't know what my excuse is then, because I didn't play the old Tony Hawk games, and I've been playing Wavebreak a little bit too, and that game is too hard. The difficulty curve, I think, ramps up really, really quickly, but overall, I would say that game is just too hard for me to really enjoy it, which is too bad because I love the idea behind it. The graphics are incredibly, like, that game is really, really pretty. The water physics in that are just absolutely amazing. I love the art style. The music is really good. Everything about that game is awesome except my ability to play it. And so, like, I started up the game. I was doing campaign, and you talk to that guy, and he's like, "Go blow up this boat." So I jet ski over, and I jump over the boat to put the dynamite down, and then it's like the detonator's at the top of the lighthouse or whatever, and you have to like rail up to the top of the lighthouse to grab the detonator. And I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. So I go over there and I try it and I try it and I try it and I fail over and over and over again. So finally I was like, all right, I was struggling real bad. And then somebody said to me, Bill, have you invested any points yet? And I was like, oh, well, the game never told me to do that. So no, I didn't. So I went back into the menu and I went to the gym and I invested almost every point that I had into rail riding or whatever it's grinding or something like that, whatever it's called. I invested every point that I could into that, and then I put points into other stuff as well afterwards, because I didn't have enough to increase my skill some more. And I was like, all right, now I'm gonna get it. And I went over, placed the dynamite, went up to the lighthouse, got about a fourth of the way up, and fell off again. It didn't make it any easier. And I'm just very, very frustrated with that game, which is too bad because it's a game that I was really, really looking forward to. And just to have the difficulty to be so high and the difficulty curve to be so sharp is very frustrating. And if you take all of that and you add it together with the fact that this game has no tutorial, why is there no tutorial? Like, there should be a very simple thing that says, here, try this. Now let's teach you how to do grabs. Now let's teach you how to do spins. I don't know, whatever it is. Let's teach you how to do all of these things individually and then drop me into campaign mode, or have that be the campaign mode, because I just found it to be incredibly frustrating, and I don't think that I'm alone. And if I'm not alone, actually, let me know what you guys think. If you're here with us live, you can just tell us in chat. But in the comment section down below, let me know what you guys think of Wave Break, because I found the game to be frustrating, mostly because it's how much I wanted to love this game. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Yeah, I agree 110% that the game needs some sort of mode when you jump into it to say, hey, this is the game. Drive forward, hit this button. Reverse, hit this button. Get off your boat, hit this button. Shoot your guns, hit this button. Aim your guns, hit this button. All right, let's move into tricks, and then go through the whole tricks thing, and then saying, hey, well, you're pretty new to this. Let's see if we can work on some of those muscles, and it takes you to the gym, and you can buy some of the upgrades. Like just a little guided segment that takes you through. Okay, this is the basics. Here's how you do tricks. Here's how you chain tricks together. And then here's how you upgrade your character. And then jump into the story mode would have been fantastic, because I was stuck in a corner. My boat was in a corner and I couldn't reverse for some reason. I must have been stuck on geometry. So I'm just like, oh, I can't get out. I guess I'm just going to sit here for the next minute and a half until the timer runs down. I didn't realize that there's a button you can hit to get out of your boat, and then you can recall your boat and then you can get in it. If there was a little tutorial, that would never have happened, and it might give you some tricks for down the road as well. So I really, really want to love this game. I was a little disappointed in the pre-release that there wasn't anybody to play multiplayer with, because that's where you really get a lot of points that you could spend on upgrades. Playing against bots, you get like $100 every time you complete a match or something. So I was really hopeful that I could upgrade like crazy and things would get better. I upgraded a lot and it's not much better. So I'm still gonna stick with it. I'm still gonna bang away at it, but hopefully they can add some I don't know, tutorials, or I don't know, make the grinding less impossible. Would be a really nice thing.
Yeah, I accomplished, I think, one thing in my first mission. I got the 10,000 points in the, I don't know, it's like 5 minutes, and I did that by basically just doing the same trick over and over and over again in the same area.
Right.
And that's not the fun, like that's not the best way to play.
Sure.
I should be zipping around and doing a bunch of things in order to get points, but I couldn't figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just too bad, because everything else about the game I love. Like everything else about this game is fantastic. And it's just that the difficulty is way too high, way too fast. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
So anything else that you've been playing this week other than ESO and Wave Break?
Not that I can mention. So yeah, maybe next week we'll have some interesting stuff to talk about.
Maybe tomorrow we'll have some videos up that we can talk about. Although some people did look and they saw my achievements, and so they already know what's up. But I'll have some videos tomorrow. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. And tomorrow we've got 2 videos coming for you guys to watch about an unnamed game, which we're not allowed to talk about. Let's move on to the news. We got new pro games coming on July 1st. We've got some new pro deals and stuff like that. So, Lloyd, why don't you tell everybody about the pro games that we're getting in July, which I can't believe that we're getting 4 after getting 6.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I saw some people complaining. It's like, oh, those are just small indie games. Well, except for one of them is not a small game. All these games are fantastic. Well, 3 of the 4 are fantastic. I haven't really played much of the other one, so I can't say whether it's fantastic or not. But the game's coming next month. SteamWorld Dig, A Fistful of Dirt. This is the first SteamWorld game. Many people already bought it, but for those that don't, you can jump back in time and play through the original SteamWorld game. It's great. It's a great title, so worth playing. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. This is a remake of an old Monster Boy game that came out on like the Genesis and everything like that. So it's an older game, but it's been completely remade in this amazing hand-drawn art style. I absolutely adored this game on the Nintendo Switch. Absolutely adored it, and it's going to be amazing to jump into it and play it, hopefully at 4K, and see some of those beautiful art assets in higher resolution. It's a really, really cool game. If you're not familiar with it, you are a boy. You get cursed, you get turned into a pig, so you don't have a sword anymore. You have to figure out what you're going to do as a pig. Once you get past a certain part of the level, you figure out that you have the power to transform. You just need to find the ways to transform. So you can be a pig, a dragon, a lion, a frog. I want to say, I think it's a frog, or yourself as the monster
And a
boy.
snake.
It's a snake. Okay.
No, there's also a snake.
Oh, there's a snake as well. That's right. There's a snake. I think that's the second form you get is the snake, which allows you to climb walls and things like that. It's just so fun, and it's kind of a trip back in time to kind of old platformers. It's kind of like an old school Metroidvania before that was really a genre. You need to get a power to get to certain parts of the world. So so good. West of Loathing is coming as well. If you look at the art, it says, well, that game is just a bunch of stick figures. Yep, it's just a bunch of stick figures, but it also has one of the funniest I guess storyline and dialogue and everything is all baked into this game. Another game that I played and completed and loved on the Nintendo Switch, and it's coming to Stadia as well. And then of course we know Creta is coming July 1st with state share beta, so you can basically get a link when you're playing a game, send it to your friends, post it on YouTube, post it on Twitch chat, wherever you are, text it to your mom. They click that link. As long as they have a Stadia account, they go right in and they join your game session. So I hear it works really well. I can't wait to jump into that and like test it out. Yeah, it may work really, really well, but I'm not sure. Yeah. So that'll be coming July 1st as well. So a really amazing slate of games. And I'm just, I'm excited for it. And for people that are saying, oh, it looks like indie trash, you need to get out there and play some indie games. The world doesn't revolve around AAA, like, I don't know, games that cost $400 million to make. Monster Boy, West of Loathing, both games that people should be playing. They are fantastic titles.
Awesome. Let me ask you a question. SteamWorld Dig as a pro game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But we got SteamWorld Dig 2 as a pro game before. Why in the hell would they do that?
I think because SteamWorld Dig is by far the worst of the SteamWorld games that are out there. It was their first game. They've taken that IP, that game style, and they've iterated on it and made it better. SteamWorld Dig is still a great game, but if you play it nowadays, you might say, oh, this is a little bit hard to get into, where if you're playing SteamWorld Dig 2, it's like, oh, this game is fantastic. So I think that's probably what it was. They didn't want to lead off with that one. But yeah, it does feel really weird to go back to a game that is way older than a game that we've already played, which may be hard to get into if you've already played the second one.
In addition to the pro games that are coming, Google also posted about new deals that are for this week, apparently. Now it's Sunday, so I wonder if these deals are still available. You want to read through the deals real quick? And I'm going to actually, I should have checked this before. I want to see, actually, don't bother. I just going to bring it up on my phone here.
Sure.
So just to compare, it says here that Football Manager 2020 is $25 as opposed to its normal $50. So that's half off. And yes, these deals are still good. So these are the deals that Google was pointing out. That's the wrong button. Football Manager 2020 for $25. Metro Exodus for $16. That's a really, really good stealth game. If you like stealth games, I think that you'll enjoy Metro Exodus. I do wish that it played at a higher frame rate when you're playing at 4K, but I would recommend, if you're going to play that game, lower your stuff down to balanced and play it that way. That plays at 1080p, 60 frames per second. It feels a lot better that way because it not just a stealth game, also like a shooter. So just my advice to you. Metro Exodus Gold Edition for $26. 2 Kernels, which is DLC for Exodus, is $5. and Sam's story is $15, which is also content for Metro Exodus. And then if you are not a pro member, you can get Football Manager for 34 instead of 25, which right there, that tells you get pro, because you'll be spending, I think, an extra dollar. You'll get access to a bunch of other games, and you'd still get that deal for Football Manager. So the pro deals are so good each and every time. Such great sales. And then Metro Exodus for $20 or Metro Exodus Gold Edition for $32. Those are the non-pro deals. If you had to pick one of those games that are on sale, which one would you go with, Lloyd?
Probably Borderlands 3, the deluxe edition, or even the super deluxe edition that comes with the season pass. $50 for Borderlands 3 is ridiculous. If you get the season pass right now, the new DLC for that hits on Tuesday, I want to say. So the third DLC of 4 in the season pass is coming out next week. So there is a lot of bang for your buck, because there's trillions of guns that are in the game. So a lot of bang.
How many hours do you think you've spent playing Borderlands 3 so far?
Probably 60, 70, 80 hours, maybe a little bit more. It's a game I have all the achievements for it. I'm not going to be an achievement hunter on Stadia, but I wanted to at least do it on one game. So I did it for Borderlands 3, and then they keep adding DLC, which adds more achievements. And it's like, ah, damn it. Now I got to go get some more achievements. So I'm doing that. But I've played a lot of Borderlands 3, and it plays so well on Stadia, and it plays better today than it did a month ago, because they keep patching it and making it perform and look better on Google Stadia. So definitely a great game to have on the platform.
I agree. All right, let's move on to the next story. The next story is a tweet from Google, and we don't know if they meant to do this or not, but they kind of outed something very, very interesting. And let me bring this up on the screen here. Green Nerve tweeted at them. They said, "Hey there, thanks for," or they said, "Will you upgrade your platform to support ray tracing?" And Stadia replied, "Hey there, thanks for reaching out. It's up to the publisher to determine the compatibility with ray tracing. Let us know if you have more questions." And so instantly people are like, hold on a sec. Does that mean that Google Stadia supports ray tracing? And if you didn't know, there was a few months back, we were a dev reached out to me and leaked to us that they were working on Gen 2 Stadia hardware. And when I talked about that on the show, one of the things that I said was that there's also a feature that a lot of people are asking for or asking about, that the dev asked me not to say anything. And once this tweet came out, I sent a message to that dev and I said, "Hey, is it okay if I talk about it now?" And they said, "You know what? Google tripped over their own." Well, they didn't say this, but they said, "Yeah, go ahead. Google put it out there. So I guess you can talk about it then." So they said, "All right, Bill, you can say whatever you want now." So I haven't got secondary confirmation, but according to the dev that I spoke to months ago, ray tracing has been something that they are working on for their game, and it is part of Stadia Gen 2. And we've known, like Lloyd and I have known about this for months, but we've been sitting on it because we were asked to stay quiet. So ray tracing is coming to Stadia according to a dev that spoke to me. Thoughts,
Yeah,
Lloyd?
exactly. Sorry, I was just chatting in the chat room. I agree. I've also heard that that'll be part of the second gen blades whenever they're released, which means that in the future you're going to have a possibility of Bob's super awesome shooter coming on Tuesday to Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and Stadia with full ray tracing, 4K 60, blah blah, whatever the bells and whistles are. but we have the possibility now of a future where we have a game come out day and date with next gen Xbox, next gen PlayStation, and next gen Stadia. The best part about that for Stadia is you don't have to buy anything. You get next gen Stadia for free when Google decides to upgrade their blades. So really, really exciting. I'm glad that that Google is thinking far enough ahead and putting these new features in that both consumers and developers are really excited about playing around with.
Yes, I think that I think it's very cool, and that's one of the things that sold me on Stadia was this idea that I would never have to buy new hardware in order to experience the latest games again. For years, you bought your Atari 2600, and then the Nintendo Entertainment System came out, and you couldn't play any of the cool games without investing in a Nintendo Entertainment System. And then the Super Nintendo came out, and my friends and I would get on our bicycles and ride up to the local department store, and in the what's the word I'm looking in the electronics department, we would go in, we would play 5-minute increments of the new game, because none of us could, like, we could have bought a game, but we couldn't afford to buy a Super Nintendo. And that just keeps happening and keeps marching forward. And with Stadia, that cycle of being able to buy a game but not being able to spend the money on the hardware, that suddenly breaks that cycle, and we can now just buy a new game
Yep.
and play it without having to buy the hardware that runs it, which is really, really compelling. And there's no subscription required. Sure, if I don't have a subscription, I have to play at 1080p, but I really don't care, because if I have to choose between playing at 1080p and not playing, I
Yep.
guess I would pick 1080p.
Sure. Yeah, it's amazing. Like when you think of last gen, it went from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4. You had to spend $500-$600, depending on which part of the world you're in, to buy a piece of hardware to put under your TV to then play $60 games on it. Now you don't have to do that. You can buy 10 $60 games instead of that little piece of hardware you slid underneath your TV. So it's gonna be awesome. Hopefully the Gen 2 rollout goes really well. If they're even going to do it. I mean, we're talking about features that are not official, of course, so things could change. But it all signs are pointing towards frequent and steady upgrades on Google's both the software and the hardware, which is really exciting for us as gamers. Getting to play on bigger and better hardware means bigger and better games if the developers choose to use that like horsepower.
Yeah. So like Google says, it's up to the devs to decide if they want to support ray tracing. And there's different levels of ray tracing. There's low end ray tracing, and then there's full ray tracing. And depending
Yeah.
on what the game needs in order to have good frame rates, the dev is going to have to make that decision. So just because Google like Stadia may support ray tracing, and again, this is just I've only have confirmation from one dev that told me this, so maybe they're full of beans, I don't know. But just because it supports it doesn't mean that every game is going to use it. In some games it will make sense, in some games it won't. Like somebody in chat was joking about super hot with ray tracing, which would be ridiculous. All right, speaking of rumors, Google Stadia 2.23. It was unpacked by 9 to 5 Google, and they looked at some stuff, namely playing on mobile data, which is something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, meaning that you wouldn't have to have access to Wi-Fi in order to play on Stadia. Right now, if you want to play on your phone, you have to have Wi-Fi in order to do it. According to the APK, what do they call it? APK something Insight. According to the APK Insight, where they pick apart the app, it says there's a key in there that says stream games using mobile data when disconnected from Wi-Fi. Lloyd and I are both iPhone people, but
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd, let's say that you had a Pixel phone or an Android phone. Is this something that you could see yourself doing, or do you think it would like how metered is your bandwidth on your mobile device?
I think I get 7 or 8 gigs a month. So, I mean, that's a good 23-minute gameplay. I can burn through that, and then that's it. Yeah, no, I used to stream. What is it? I can't remember the name of the app on my iPhone, but it allowed me to do remote play on my PlayStation 4. So I'd use the app on my phone, and I'd be sitting like at a coffee shop or whatever, and I'd be playing like Destiny or something on my PlayStation in my house through the interwebs onto my phone through 3G or LTE, I guess it was at the time, and it worked really well. The good thing about that is it compresses that stream down really, really good. So as long as I'm saying that I want to do 720p on this device, you could probably play a fair bit on mobile data. Probably not something I would do a lot, but I know there's a lot of kids that live on their phone. They do everything on their phone, and they have unlimited data. This would be huge for that user base, being able to play all these games on their mobile data.
Yeah. I'm personally not excited for this because I'm rarely in a place where there's no Wi-Fi, and if I'm out of my house, I'm generally too busy to pull out my phone to play a game anyway. Because when I play a game, I want to play a game for a longer period of time. The only thing that this would be particularly useful for me would be, I'm out doing something, and like my wife's in the store and I'm waiting in the car or something, and I just remembered that I haven't like upgraded my horse for today in Elder
Right.
Scrolls Online. So I'm going to go do that real quick, but I wouldn't actually like really play the games that way. The
Yep.
next part of the APK insight is very, very exciting to me, though. When we talked to John Justice, actually rewinding just a second, when we talked to John Justice, I think it was the first time I asked if he would, if Google would be going with LTE in order to play games, and he said no, we're going to wait for 5G. Seems like maybe they're changing their tune on that. But then the next part, when we talked to him, he mentioned family sharing, but we've been like everybody's been chomping at the bit, waiting for family sharing to come. Well, it looks like it might be around the corner. Again, this is not an official announcement by Google. This is 9 to 5 Google looking at the APK and pulling it apart and looking at all of the stuff and seeing what's in there. But they found a whole bunch of stuff. It says here, share your games with family. Enable family sharing. Each game can be played by one family member at a time. They also said there's text for describing the visibility of shared games. This is really interesting to me. Everyone in your Google family group can see shared games unless parental controls restrict certain games. So if I say, oh, my son can only play games that are rated T for teen and below, then and I share all of my games with my family, my wife could very much see Doom or Division 2, but my son would not be able to see those things, which I think is really awesome. It's giving parents a lot of control, which is great. Choose how to share. Both options let you turn sharing on and off for each game from its store page. So I could say, I'm going to share everything except for this one game. And so, like for me, I would let my son play some games that are rated M, and there are other games that I would not allow him to play that are rated M. So giving me the ability to say yes to this and no to that is fantastic. Or you can just share all of your current and future games automatically, or only specific ones that you choose. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's super robust. Having all those options instead of, I thought what they would do is it would be everything or based on ESRB ratings. I thought that would be the two options, but they have way more functionality here. The ability to say, okay, I bought Minecraft on Google Stadia at some future world where this exists on Google Stadia. Oh, I want my son to be able to play Minecraft when I'm not playing Minecraft. So I just go into the store page, I click on share to family, and then when I'm not playing Minecraft, he can jump in on his Stadia account and play that. Something as simple as that is huge. It also makes me think that maybe if you are a pro and you have family members that aren't a pro, they'll be able to play those pro games as well. I was wondering if that would be part of it or not. It seems like that is going to be something as well. So, all in all, this is going to be a huge feature for people that have large families that already share games, whether it's on an Android phone or iOS or whatever. I'm excited about this one. Hopefully, they give us more information about, can you play some games, have two instances of them running at once? Are the developers going to be able to make those decisions themselves, or is it going to be only one person playing a game at a time across the platform? There's still some questions that we don't know, because it would be really great for a smaller indie title like say Wavebreak, to say, yep, we want, if you have a family share, four people can play the game that you purchased at once, and then all of a sudden you have a full family that could play a 4-player game together just by buying it once. So it'll be interesting to see how all that stuff kind of plays out. But this is exciting. It means that we're getting close if it's in the APK already.
I don't think that we're going to see things like that, because there was a code in the APK that says each game can be played by one family member at a time. So I doubt that Google's going to give devs the ability to be a little more granular than that. Mm-hmm. However, I would be very happy if they did, because like right now on my PS4, my son, like I have a PS4 Pro up here. My son has a PlayStation 4 downstairs. And if I buy a game on my PS4, I can share it with him, and we can both play the same game at the same time. And I think that's limited to just 2, which is perfectly fine. But then you have the other places like Steam with family sharing, where if my son starts playing a game that I've shared with him through family sharing on Steam, I am locked out of all of my entire Steam library. I can't play anything until I kick him off of that, or at least that's how it used to be. I don't know if it still is, but that's how it used to be. And that always kind of drove me crazy. So it seems like Stadia is going somewhere in the middle of those two things. Although I would love your idea, Lloyd, I don't think that that's going to end up happening.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Like the text is text for describing how many family members can play a game at one time. The only text possibility right now is can only be played by one family member. But the fact that that is a string and not just like part of the app, maybe this is something that will change down the road. At least possibly. I'm hopeful for that, because that would be a great way to get a lot more players into some of the smaller games. I know the Ubisofts and the Bethesdas probably won't do that. CD Projekt Reds probably won't do that. Maybe the small developers would get some benefit from doing stuff like that.
In addition, we also found, not me, they found, 9to5 Google found that there's notifications maybe coming to the app, which I don't think that there are notifications now. Are there? I didn't think so. I don't think I've ever gotten a notification when I've had the app closed. But here's what they found. They said user did not enable push notifications permissions when prompted. Push messaging dialog is in there. Notifications enabled. Stadia Pro games. All notifications, Pro games, update enabled, and all notifications enabled. So it looks like we might get a notification when there's new Pro games, which is really, really smart. Like, pop that up in front of me so that I know, hey, I paid for Stadia Pro. Now we're making it worth the money that you've invested. I think that that's great. What I do hope is that we also have the ability to do, like we've seen in the APK breakdowns before, text chat, which we still don't have, but it would be awesome if we could send messages to friends and say, hey, I want to play this game. Do you want to join me? Send, and it pops up on their phone. Oh, sure. Let me hit that button and then start playing with you. By the way, speaking of friends and playing with people, we did a dungeon the other day in Elder Scrolls Online, and most of the time we use Discord to talk to people. We were using the in-game, like with headphones plugged into the bottom of the controllers. That is a terrible experience. It is so quiet. We had to go into the game settings and turn the game settings way down, and even then I was still struggling to hear
Oh wow.
what the other people in my party were saying. That needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed fast. All right. Anything else before we move on, Lloyd?
I don't think so. This huge update. Hopefully this will come rolled out, be rolled out to all users soon to get all these sweet features.
That's right. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Apple. What? Yeah, Apple.
Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system?
All right, everybody, we're back, and yeah, we're talking about Apple. Lloyd, you are an Apple guy. I'm an Apple guy.
I am, yeah.
Up until now, well, up until this fall, because it's not out yet, YouTube is not able to be streamed in 4K on an Apple device. That's because Apple devices don't currently support VP9 as a codec. Apple was saying, well, we're going to use the industry standard, which was HEVC, I believe. And then Apple decided we're going to skip VP9 and we're going to go to AV1 as our way of decoding 4K video. Well, iOS 14 has just been released to devs and people who are brave enough to run that on their main device, because it's still in beta, maybe even alpha. But it allows you to now use VP9 as your decoding codec on Apple devices. And a lot of people have said that the reason why Stadia is not on Apple devices, some people say it's because Apple won't let them. I don't think that's true, because they're already letting us buy stuff through Apple devices. Then other people say, well, it's because the devices don't support VP9. Well, iOS 14, which comes out this fall, will be supporting VP9. Apple said, watch the latest YouTube videos in their full 4K glory. Your favorite music, slow-mo, outdoor, and vlog footage never looked better. What are your thoughts on this, Lloyd?
I think it's huge. VP9 is such a better codec for 4K than H.264. It's just the file sizes, the bitrate is smaller for the same video quality. So supporting it is great. It's going to allow you to access other websites that maybe don't have their stuff in H.264 format. I can remember back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when Flash streaming was the main way that people were streaming video. And you'd hit a website with your phone and it'd be like, well, Flash is not supported on this device. It's like, oh my God, why don't you make your videos available for everybody? But then they made it for H.264. Maybe that had some data costs for them. Having multiple codecs supported at an OS level is just going to be huge. It's going to allow developers, it's going to allow website operators, people that are designing different systems to use whatever they're more comfortable for. Maybe there's a reason why VP9 works for them and H.264 won't. Now they could just roll those videos out and have it supported at the OS level across the vast majority of mobile devices now, which is going to be a fantastic thing.
So do you think that this is the canary in the coal mine for Stadia to come to iOS, or do you think that people are blowing this up when possibly the two things are not really related? What do you think?
Yes. No, I do think Stadia will come to iOS. Like it makes sense. For Apple having a bunch of users use their device to play games on, I don't think they really care so much that you're playing it on like their app store. I think they just want more people to use their devices. In iOS 14, there's new settings to choose a default web browser and a default email app.
And before everybody says you've been able to do that on Android forever, We know.
Exactly. Yeah,
Go
this is a closed platform, and Apple is controlling over their closed platform. And that's the reason why iOS is great for so many different things, is because you don't have to worry about viruses and hacked apps and people sideloading and stealing things. It's been great for the industry, because then it allows Android to kind of do their own thing, compete with Apple by giving more freedom. So it's been good all around. But the fact that iOS 14 has the ability to choose your web browser and an email client is huge, because Safari and Mac Mail has been the only ways to do it on iOS for the longest time as a default app. But to me, what hopefully it signals is that if you are a developer and you're making a web browser, you might not have to use a Safari core now. You can put in whatever core you want for your web browser. At least I hope that's what that means.
I don't think that that's what that means. And I'm going to interrupt you for a second. And here's why. I watched an interview with MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee. He was interviewing Craig Federighi. And Craig Federighi's the guy with the ridiculously good hair that works at Apple, right? So he was they were talking about, having your default browsers and stuff, and Craig Federighi says, look, we just don't want how did he say it? He said he specifically mentioned using WebKit, which is like, isn't that what
That's
the
what
core
Safari is.
Yeah. So
Yep.
he specifically mentioned using WebKit when talking about
okay.
default browsers. So does that mean that we won't be able to have like a different one? I don't know.
Okay, so I didn't see that video, so that kind of blows my hope out the water. So that sucks. What I would love to have is Chrome on iOS, and not have to have Chrome, which is just a wrapper around WebKit or Safari, essentially. Maybe iOS 15. Maybe we can hold out for that.
Anyway, I'm sure that there will be plenty of comments on this video telling us that we're sheep, and because every single time we talk about the fact that we use Apple devices, we get comments on our YouTube channel telling us that our lives would be so much better if we didn't. Guess what? They all work really, really well. So I'm fine with you using yours and me using mine. It's perfectly fine. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the Avengers War Table?
5 minutes of it, maybe. I was swamped at work, and I did not get to watch as much on my lunch hours I wanted to.
All right. Well, of what you saw, because I watched the whole thing, but of the part that you saw, how do you feel about this game?
I'm super excited about it. I know people said, like, all the characters look like, if you go to the dollar store and you get those knockoff action figures, that's what all the characters look like. And I was like, yeah, but who cares if Thor doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth? Although Chris Hemsworth is a good looking dude, so I can understand why people are complaining about that. But the fact that it's Thor, it's Iron Man, it's Hulk. I don't care if they don't look like the MCU versions of those characters. But more so, or I guess away from just the look of the characters, the game itself to me screams of like Destiny with an Avengers skin, and that makes me incredibly excited about what's going to be coming. They've already talked about this game as sort of a games as a service. They're going to keep patching in new characters that you can play as. At least that's what they talked about a couple E3s ago and last E3. I don't know, man. I think this could be a really special game. I'm really hopeful that they don't screw up the launch, but man, it looks really good.
I agree. It looks really, really good. I was very lukewarm on this game up until now. I'm much more excited about this game now than I was before. And the reason being is because up until now, we have not seen what kind of game it is. And I was just like, I still don't understand what it is. And now they showed us, and I was like, okay, it really makes sense. They showed about 7 minutes, I think, of just pure gameplay of somebody playing as Thor, going through, beating the hell out of some AIM robots, and it looked really, really great. I will say this. It was clearly extremely scripted. You're gonna fly over to this spot, and then you're gonna press X X Y, and then you're gonna fly. Like they knew everything that they were gonna do ahead of time. There was no UI in the game, which I found to be like, I want to know what that stuff is going to be like. So I'm still not 100% convinced. I still want to see more. I want to see straight up gameplay that's not like scripted ahead of time. What I really want is for them to just hand a controller to some schmo and say, here, play it for 10 minutes. We'll record your experience, and then I'll understand more how this game is going to work. But what I saw was very, very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel it feels kind of like Destiny? And you're jumping into an area and you're fighting a bunch of enemies, and then there's like mini bosses and various things like that. I think to me it's very reminiscent of Destiny, which is a good thing for a game like this. With they showed the skill tree in one part of the video, and it looks like there's like a huge set of powers and things that you can upgrade and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, and I do feel like that it kind of feels like Destiny, and the way I would describe Destiny, and there's going to be people who get mad at me when I say this, but I describe Destiny as an MMO light, where it's not really an open world MMO, but it's still like a massively multiplayer kind of game. And this feels like a game that is scratching that MMO itch in a way, even though it's not going to be. I don't think it'll be open world, and I don't think that you're going to go to locations and you're going to see like Thor running by when you're Thor. I think what they'll do instead is they will be like, all right, maybe like Diablo, where you thank you, honey, where you you get your group together and then you go into a thing. So you've got like, I'm going to play Thor. All right, well, I'm going to play Hulk, and I'm going to be Black Widow, and I'm going to be
Sure.
Kamala. Ms. Marvel, I think is her name.
Yep.
I think that that's going to be the kind of thing that you're going to do. And I'm really looking forward to that part of it. If, and this is a big if the gameplay is good, and it presents very, very well, but I really need to see two things. A, how does the gameplay really work when it's not super scripted? And B,
Right.
what is their monetization model? Is this game free to play, and they're making their money from costumes? Because they talked about it extensively, that you can have all of these different costumes. Or am I going to spend $60 and then get bombarded with a bunch of, hey, make sure you have the battle pass, and then you have, so I'm very nervous about that part of it too.
I believe at last E3 they talked about that this is going to be a full retail game, but all future character content will be included as free DLC, but there will be cosmetic stuff. Of course, that was a year ago. Things may have changed a lot since then. I played a lot of Marvel Heroes, and you're talking about how you wouldn't want to see, if you're Thor, other Thors running around. I can remember a boss fight that I was doing in Marvel Heroes, and there was like 18 like Black Panther or whatever the new character was that just got unveiled at that time, and I'm like, this is ridiculous, but also kind of cool because his powers are pretty substantial against this boss. If it's something like that, I would love it. Like I played so much Marvel Heroes, so and more of that would be a great thing. So I don't know, man. I'm excited for this one. I want more info. I will eventually, when I have more than a few minutes to even look at YouTube, jump in and watch this whole video, because I'm really excited about what this game is going to shape up to be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited that it's coming to Stadia. Oh, I guess I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough. All right. Night City Wire. Did you watch that?
No,
Okay.
I don't want CD Projekt Red. I'm completely in blackout mode until the game ships.
I'm not going to say much about it other than there was some really cool stuff that they were doing with implants in the game that let you almost time travel. And I was looking at it, I was like, that is incredibly cool what they're showing us. I'm very, very excited for this game.
Yeah.
A game that I'm not excited for, even a little, is this next game that we're going to talk about. You want to talk about this next game, Lloyd? Have you ever played the original?
I have played the original. I was going to do a really bad impersonation of SpongeBob, and I decided to save you all from my really
let's
horrible.
Hear it.
It's been so long since I've done it. Anyway, I was going to tell a story about karaokeing as Patrick Star, embarrassing my daughter, but I won't do that. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom it is out now on Switch and I believe PlayStation. So this is a remake of the GameCube game from way back in the day. It looks really fun, although I believe IGN gave it a 5 out of 10, so maybe not that fun. But the fact that this is going to come to the platform, it's just going to give people other choices in big brand name AAA games, and hopefully that'll be a really good thing for those people that really want it.
Yeah, I am not interested in this game at all. And it's weird because it's not listed on Stadia's website of games that you can play. But if you look at the video, at the very end of the video of... First off, I'm going to interrupt for a second. I am so tired of video game companies showing me an ad of people playing their game. I don't care what... like. Right now, there's a girl on screen. She's sitting on the couch upside down playing the game. By the way, my son sits like that on the couch sometimes. I don't understand it, but guess what? I think I did it when I was a kid too. But she's playing the game upside down. But why are you showing me this? Show me the gameplay. And sure, they are showing gameplay in this and little tiny snippets between things. But anyway, getting back to my original point, if I can find it in the... in the video there at the very end, it shows the Stadia logo. So it's coming to Stadia, even though Google's not talking about it for some reason. Maybe they're not talking about it because it got such a poor review on IGN. I don't know, but like, I'm a fan of SpongeBob. I'm just not a fan of... I'm just not interested in this game. But if you are, well, guess what? Now you can play it without having to buy hardware anywhere else. Anything else to add here?
I love platformers, so the first time this game gets a price drop, I will probably be picking it up to play and hopefully to play with my kids, because there's some multiplayer zaniness in this game as well. So if you like Crash Bandicoot, if you like Spyro, if you like games like that, like the super bright and friendly platformers, this is definitely one that you'll want to check out if you like SpongeBob at all.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick before we move on, or before we're about to move, we're moving on. Real quick, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this particular thing. There is Doom Eternal. Got update 2 is now available. They said duke it out on fresh turf with the next major update of Doom Eternal, available now. On top of a host of improvements, bug fixes, and new content for Doom Eternal's in-game events, update 2 brings a whole new arena for battle mode. The thing that jumped out at me is you can play Doom Eternal with a filter on that makes it look like old Doom games, which I tried it this morning, and it's really, really cool. They also have a Game Boy filter.
I love it.
So it, like, everything was green, and it looked really cool. And I have to say, of the games that I've played on Stadia, this one has blown me away, probably more than all of the other ones. It's just so good. Is update 2 enough to get me back into it? I don't think so. I don't think so. There's, like, I've already beat the game, and the post game content or the end game content just isn't compelling enough to bring me back in. I kind of wish that they had all of those things when I played through it the first time, where, you know, if a monster kills Lloyd, it then steps through a portal and comes into my game and tries to kill me powered up. Like, that was really cool when it happened. Because it happened. Like, one of the people on my friends list got killed by a monster, and then it came to try and kill me afterwards, and I was able to defeat it, and I got extra loot from it, and I thought that was really cool. But the only reason that happened was because I was going in after the fact to try that out. I had already finished the game. And if that stuff was in the game from the beginning, I would have had like an even better experience. So if you haven't picked up
Right.
Doom Eternal yet, all of these updates are making it better. And oh gosh, Lloyd, did you remember to pick up the new costume?
Yes, yes.
You
The
want to tell people
cosplay
about that?
costume. Yeah, so if you're a Twitch Prime sub, they've been giving away loot every month or every couple weeks. I can't remember the timing for it. There's 4 loot packs that are coming out. This is the third of 4. You had like the mullet fat Doom guy last time. I think you had the rainbow pony the time before, and this one is Doom cosplayer. So it's a guy who made his own Doom armor out of cardboard and glue and tape, and you can see all those details on the skin. It is ridiculously awesome. I love the fact that they're not taking themselves seriously with this game at all.
Yeah. All right. Listen, we've been going for almost an hour, and we still have crowd play to get to. So, real quick, I'm going to lightning round the rest of this stuff. Google Assistant is now working in game. You can't do any game stuff with it, but you can ask it what temperature it is outside. Lloyd tested it right before we went live, and it told him that it was that he had a heat wave on its way.
Yep.
A new connection UI on the Chromecast Ultra, which basically, I'll bring it up on screen so people can see it. On the Chromecast Ultra, when you look at your connection speed, it says excellent, and then it tells you a bunch of information about it. So 4K resolution, HDR unsupported by the game, which I love that they are telling us that. That HDR is not supported by this particular game, although this picture is of Elder Scrolls Online, which supports HDR on PS4, does not support it on Stadia yet, but the ZeniMax, the devs behind it, they said that they are going to be patching that in later. And then it says 5.1 surround sound unsupported by device. So, if your particular device does not support 5.1 surround sound, it's going to tell you that. I think that more information surfaced to the users is always, always, always better. Let me look at the notes. Anything else that you wanted to talk? Anything about those 2 stories that you want to mention?
No, just the fact that I found that new UI thing and I posted it on the Discord, and I should have been smart and posted it on the Stadia subreddit, and then we could have had my image as part of the documentation or the show notes for this one. But I was slow. I was slow on the draw. But just like you, more information is way better than less information, and hopefully, again, CCU, Chrome, phone, all those things get on the same page, and it's the same UI across all devices. Hopefully we have a future where that happens, because this information would be really great if it was on the, say, Chrome, but we still have the old kind of connection button still.
And I don't understand why they aren't, like, if you're going to push out an update, just don't push out the update until all of the things are going to have the same update. And I'm fine waiting. I just want it to be consistent across devices. Real quick, if you go to the show notes, which are at runjumpstomp.com, this is episode number 64 of Stadiacast. At the bottom of the show notes, there is a very interesting article where Bungie is talking at length about how playtesting with Stadia has really, really been awesome, especially through the pandemic and the closure for everything. So make sure you read that article because it's really very, very interesting. Are you ready for crowd play, Lloyd?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Oh, the new Atari 7800. We reinvented the video game.
All right, everybody. We reinvented the video game. We didn't really, but we got some super chats from people. Consino sent in a $5 super chat. I believe that this was the one that showed our emotes with a little heart between them, which was hilarious, and I knew that that's what was going to happen as soon as I said to David, can you turn me so that I'm facing the other direction? I knew that people were going to do that, but that's okay because it's awesome. And besides, I love Lloyd. He's awesome. Moving on. John Eisenmenger. Sorry. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. They sent in a $5 super chat. They said, per a thread on Reddit, The Stadia cheer sound was included in an email about January's free games. I do not have that email to verify. Good luck. And John is saying this. If you are listening to the podcast after the fact, I said that I lost that sound, which is why it hasn't been in the beginning of the last couple of episodes. And I was asking people where they could find it, and John says that that's where I can probably find it. So I'm going to look and see if I can find it. Patrice, go ahead.
I did look. I found the email. The link is there. You click it. It's a dead link. I guess they had a time limit on that file, and that time limit is passed, sadly.
All right. Well, maybe somebody has that file someplace.
I think a little buddy has already sent it to both of us.
Oh, score. All right. I'll look at it after the show. Patrice Derry sent in a super chat. They said, do you think we may see some games running on V2 blades at the Stadia Connect? I would love to see some ray tracing effects because it looks so great. Well, what do you think, Lloyd?
I don't know. It all depends on what Google's plan is for rollout of this. Do they want to use the V2 blades as a we can do next gen 2 to kind of beat Sony and Xbox at their own game? Or is this something that they're planning for rollout next year? So I'm really hopeful. I would love to see some of the next gen stuff that's announced for PlayStation and Xbox. They show a video and it's running in 4K 60, beautiful ray tracing with HDR and all the bells and whistles at the Stadia Connect. I am worried that it might be just a little too early for that.
Okay, so first off, I hope that they never mention V2 blades. I hope that they never talk about this game is running on our second generation of Stadia hardware. This is information the consumer does not need to know. What the consumer needs to know is, what is my gameplay like? What does my game look like? So just show us that and don't talk about numbers ever. If it shows ray tracing, say, and this game supports ray tracing. If you talk about the different versions, then as soon as any game company mentions that they're bringing a game to Stadia, the first question that all of the super nerds like us are going to ask is, which version are you running your games on?
Right.
And it doesn't matter as long as the game is running well. If the devs can get it to run on this hardware, then that's the hardware that it needs to run on. If they need more power, then they should move it up to the next thing. And for Stadia made this huge mistake out of the gate by saying, 12 teraflops, blah blah blah, or whatever, and it's more powerful than the Xbox and the PlayStation combined. Nobody cares. Okay, people care about that, but only because you used it as a talking point. If they hadn't used it as a talking point, then that would be all gone. Back to Patrice's question, do we think we'll see some games running on V2 blades at the Stadia Connect? I think it's perfectly possible, and I hope that they don't tell us that. I hope that we just see the games running and we're like, man, those games look really, really good. Don't mention it, because I think that that's going to send the wrong message to everybody out there. And we know that Google is listening. We know that they're listening, not just to us, but to Stadia creators as a whole. We know that they're listening to what people say. And if people are really, really focused on those, on the Gen 2 stuff, then I worry that they'll talk about it. And if they talk about it, it's going to be a mistake, in my opinion.
Yeah, they can simply just say we've upgraded our hardware to compete with the next generation of game consoles. Your games on Stadia are going to look just as good as any other platform, and then leave it at that, and then not talk about Gen 1, Gen 2, and just let the developers do their magic behind the scenes.
Yeah. Or, you know what? Some other way that they could do it, they could say, look at these games that are, look at game X. It's running on the Xbox One or the Xbox Series X. It's running on the PS5. It also runs on Stadia. They don't even have to say that they upgraded hardware. Anyway, I think that about does it for us today. If you haven't already followed the show on Twitter, we are at Stadiacast. You can follow me at Run Jump Stomp. You can follow Lloyd at Dasme, and you can also join our Discord and have an awesome conversation with over 1,300 other people who love to talk about video games. Join us on our Discord over at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. And while you're joining Discords, Lloyd, what's your Discord?
res.tv/Discord.
That's right. The music that you are about to hear is Subterranean Kamikaze by Zircon. You can check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Lloyd, it was awesome spending another Sunday talking to you.
It's always a fun time to spend Sunday with you as well, Bill. Even when you're not your cartoon version. Although now I can look on the emotes and I can see your cartoon version at any time, so that's great.
All right. So, Lloyd, could you not hear the music when I hit the button?
I couldn't.
Oh, okay. That's a change. Okay. I didn't send you the sample.
Ah, yes.
Okay. So, you were talking,
was I
and the
talking
music
over
was
it?
playing, and nobody's going to hear anything that you said at the end there. But that's okay. Real quick. Oh, no, that's not new exit music. That's the music from my Nintendo show. I'm on the wrong button. All right, I'm gonna have to fix the music in post. Random noob says hardware revisions need to be known so devs know how hard to push it. I think it's fine for devs to know the hardware revisions. I just don't think consumers need to know the hardware revisions.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, that's the music for my Nintendo show. So I'm going to have to edit that. Oops. Oh, well. Worst things have happened. The music was awesome,
Definitely.
though. Well, then listen to my Nintendo show and listen to Lloyd's Nintendo show. Mine is called Nintendo Switchcraft, and Lloyd's Nintendo show is called Nintendo Pulse. And his is the longest running Nintendo podcast in existence, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know of any podcast that's been around for longer covering Nintendo than Nintendo Pulse. Started in 2006, so way long times ago. Early podcast time, pre iTunes rolling into podcasts, I believe, as well.
Did I just call it Switchcast?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's what it's Switchcraft. If I said it wrong, it's Switchcraft. Nintendo Switchcraft. Not Switchcast. That's a good show too, but it's not Nintendo Switchcraft. Oh man. All right. Let me bring up the music. That was a good show, man. Is there anything in chat that jumped out at you? I didn't really get a chance to read chat very much during the show.
I don't think so. Just basic things. People that the comment about super hot with ray tracing made me laugh a lot, and I'm like, yeah, those red and white textures are gonna pop. And I was giggling to myself, and then you asked me a question, and I flubbed it because I was too busy laughing at my own joke.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, like, what it would treat, like, if it treated all of the white surfaces as highly reflective?
Oh my god!
Like when the red the red enemies showed up on screen, it would be like nearly impossible to find them.
Yeah, if they were emitters and the white was reflectors, you would just have red like haze everywhere. It would be crazy. I'd love to see it. I really love to see it, but yeah, that's pretty funny.
All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so. Thanks everybody for coming and joining us for another podcast. This was a lot of fun.
Charles Arand wants to know how you claim that free ESO pet. So there's a link in the show notes for, I believe, last week. So if you go to runjumpstomp.com and you go to last week's episode, episode 63, I think that there's a link in those show notes to help you out there. Ruben wants to know, when is the Little Nightmares stream coming? He was going to do it, and then the day that he had planned on doing it was the day that that ESO was released. So he ended up not doing it that day. So do you have a plan, Lloyd?
I don't. My time is so up in the air right now for the next week or so. So I'm hopeful that this week will lend some time that I'll be able to do that. But then I also hope that I could do it last week, and I was just so swamped with everything else. So it's on the shelf for the next little bit, but it'll happen at some point.
Yeah, and people are also asking if we'll do another Monopoly game. We will at some point. We will. We had fun doing that, even though we were playing Monopoly, and it certainly helped that you guys were completely upending the process and turning it into an even more fun experience by using like the super chats in order to make Lloyd and I trade stuff, or what else? Auction things
mortgage,
off, or not being able to leave jail. All right.
Yeah.
So we're out of here. If you're interested in live streams, by the way, Ruben, just make sure that you subscribe. And if you're subscribed here, you'll get notified whenever we do live streams. Okay. All right, Lloyd.
Definitely.
See you,
All right.
buddy.
Later, everybody. Have a good one.